9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling network on the planet.
Oh boy, let's see if I remember how to do this. Hello, hey everybody. Happy Friday to the beautiful people of the WWT universe. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you, 'tis I, your sweetest oos, here with the keys to the office today for this lovely Friday edition of Women's Wrestling Talk, or WWT Live for Women's Wrestling Talk, the number one women's wrestling show on the planet. Yes, it is another day, another sleigh, and I am so excited. We've got a lot to cover. We've got WWE, AEW, TNA, WOW, and some major news surrounding some of the biggest names going on. And we're going to be talking about what's happening in the world of women's wrestling and beyond just what happens inside the ring. So wherever you guys are hailing from and watching from, please make sure you give us a shout out in the chat, like, and subscribe to this video as well. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I haven't done this in a while. I haven't been hosting for WWT Live. I've missed you guys, and I can't wait because we got so much to look forward to, and we can just get right on into it. We'll see if anybody's going to join us for the party, but as of right now, it's going to be you and me. So I'm excited to be here. Shout outs to everybody watching and already in the chat. Shout outs to those who are going to be joining us very soon as well. Let them know your sweetest oos is at the helm today. And let's just get right into it, because you're going to get a double dose of your sweetest oos. You do not have to watch SmackDown alone. You can watch it with me tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time for WWE Honey Night SmackDown watch along as well. And it's going to be coming to us live from the TD Garden with Tiffany Stratton defending her championship against JC Jane, her United States championship against JC Jane. We're going to have more Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, CM Punk and Kevin Owens. We're also going to have tag team championships on the line in a triple threat match with R-Truth, Damian Priest, and the MFTs, along with Haku, I'm sure, as well as the triple tag champs, the War Raiders, as well as the men's United States championship with Baron Corbin defending his title against Carmelo Hayes. So lots to look forward to tonight. Let's just get into the SmackDown preview beforehand, so that way our producer from the future can go ahead and handle that. But you know what, guys? I forgot to mention that this was definitely going to be a slideless show, so I do apologize ahead of time. I did try to warn Boss Lady in advance. It's been quite the day, and I can't wait to get this evening going, because SmackDown is pretty much looking on the up and up. We did see a lot going on last week, where we had Tatum Paxley arrive as well, but I'm really interested in what's going to be going down between the ladies tomorrow night. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. You guys feel free to comment in the chat and let me know what you're looking forward to tonight. But in regards to the women's United States Championship, Tiffany Stratton defending her title against JC Jane. There are some matches with, there's some more I think there's a lot more that can be said that's going on here, because Tiffany Stratton is defending her US championship against JC Jane, who's literally been coming through and bum rushing, quite literally, this women's division, along with her pals, with them being Fatal Influence. And of course, we know they're already holding tag team gold. But in this case, I think it's an interesting matchup with Tiffy Stratton and JC Jane, because there is history there from their days in NXT. JC has been someone who's been able to make herself a problem for everybody, and everybody around her in this case. And what I'm really interested in tonight is whether this is simply another title defense for Tiffany, or whether WWE is really looking at JC Jane as somebody who could realistically become the next Women's United States champion, considering how much she has skyrocketed since arriving to this main roster along with Fatal Influence. They've pretty much been the talk of the last couple of weeks since they've arrived, and JC Jane has already defeated 2 horsewomen. So there's a lot that can be said of that. And but there's also another question hanging over, and you know, we do know that there has been news of a certain Chelsea Green, and she is dealing with an orbital bone injury. And there's been speculation or whether she can or will have some involvement despite being unable to compete. But I don't, being that she's the champion, we're going to get into more of that later. But I want to know from you guys in the chat. Let me know, do you guys think JC Jane has a legitimate chance of walking out of Boston with the Women's United States Championship tonight? You guys let me know in the chat. And since we are on the topic of Chelsea Green, let's go into the story behind the unexpected uh the unexpected injury with Chelsea Green. But there's some new news, I should say, floating around that she's expected to remain on screen despite her orbital bone. Oh my God, say that 5 times fast, huh? Orbital bone injury. This one definitely has a lot to unpack, of course. Chelsea Green suffered a fractured orbital bone during a tag match shortly after winning the interim WWE Women's Championship at SummerSlam. So current reports indicate that she is still expected to hold on to that title rather than stripping it. And I'm really hoping that we can take out that interim or make it official that that's the case. We've been kind of vying for that here the last couple of weeks. And I could definitely attest to the fact that Chelsea Green definitely has earned her flowers. I mean, they could always go back to maybe where there's like a face mask thing going on, kind of similar to, what we've seen in earlier days. Maybe she could recycle that. I think that would be interesting for her, but you don't want this run to fall short as well. You don't want it to be, I would think that you would want to work around it with the injury. I mean, we've seen it with The Undertaker when he had his orbital bone injury. We saw how that went, with the mask. He wore it for a while. I'm sure Chelsea Green can make anything work. Literally. She has done her due diligence in the ring. She has done her due diligence. As soon as you put that camera on her and you tell her action, she is on the money every single time. So I would definitely hope that WWE would do the right thing and let her hold on to this title and stay and keep her on TV, because the people love her, and the people have never been more behind her. She's had her great runs with the US Championship, but a lot of us have also been saying this, we got to get the push to Chelsea Green, man. It's her time. It's her time. And I think that it's just unfortunate that she's had one of the biggest weeks of her career. Unfortunately, one of the worst pieces of luck immediately afterwards. And it's like, she has this huge career moment, and then less than a week later, she suffers a fractured bone. And, I think the interesting part of this story isn't necessarily whether Chelsea can wrestle. We know the girl can go. She obviously just needs to recover. So if they could come up with ways or segments for her that will still be enough for us to, gravitate towards and give us something to remember, because she is very impressionable. Once that camera's on her, she does her thing. So I think it's more the interesting part is what WWE can do with Chelsea without having her wrestle. That segments is where she thrives. And so she could do anything, I feel. But the bigger discussion, I think, here, honestly, is that Chelsea's probably one of the better people on this roster to have this, with her character, especially with her character and how hard we've seen her work, at week after week, how great she ran with those United States Championship runs. We can get to a point where in the beginning we can make it look like, even though with this injury, it doesn't necessarily require her to be wrestling, because, you want to wait for her to recover. So she doesn't have to, we know she doesn't have to prove her in-ring worth to us. We've seen more than enough. She can cut promos. She can appear backstage. She can cause problems. She can do a segment with Nick Aldis. She can manipulate situations. She can send people out. Maybe she'll have a new secret harvest, of some kind. I don't know. But if WWE is creative about it, you could actually turn this injury that could have completely derailed this championship reign into a part of her journey and part of her story. So, but I want to hear from you guys. Do you want to see Chelsea Green remain champion until she's healthy enough to wrestle, or do you think WWE should still stick with this interim thing? I probably know the answer to this because we've, a lot of us have definitely been team Chelsea Green. But moving forward into that, since we're talking about women who are getting some major recognition right now, let's talk about somebody who just landed a pretty significant accomplishment. Kendall Gray has landed herself on the cover of PWI. Kendall Gray is featured on the cover of the fall 2026 issue of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, with the cover billing her as the new face of NXT. This is really cool because I think this is more than just being on a cover. I mean, I want to give her some flowers, despite how I know the mayor and the councilman might feel about Shawn Michaels' decision in, booking. I don't know who booked it or what, but whatever decision NXT made for Lola to lose her underground match to Kendall Gray, despite how I know the officials here at WWT feel, I want to still give Kendall Gray her flowers, and I know that we have before as well, because this is a really cool accomplishment. Kendall Gray is literally being presented as the new face of NXT, and we've seen her in-ring work. We've seen her literally evolve from Evolve, and she's they pretty much are plan to put this rocket on her and trust her enough to carry this women's division. And that girl could go. She's once that bell rings, I would say there's a handful of women that once that bell rings, you can't tell them anything about telling a story in the ring. Despite whatever decision was made in the booking and whatnot. But when you think about being on the cover of PWI, it means historically this isn't just another magazine feature. For generations, getting that kind of recognition if those of you even, if I might be dating myself, but if those of you have actually bought wrestling magazines or magazines period or magazine subscription, like pro sports illustrated magazines and whatnot, things like that, it's getting that kind of recognition has always been a way of saying that person matters if they're on the cover of a magazine. You know what I mean? It's like being on the cover of Vogue, but for wrestling. You know what I mean? So Kendall is still relatively early in her journey compared to some of the women who have been wrestling for years and years and who have graced that cover as well. But when you're being positioned on the cover like this, it pretty much tells me that there is definitely a belief, not only from WWE, but from wrestling media's landscape, period, that this woman has a future. It's letting the community know, put her on notice, the bigger conversation with that is I think this is something we could celebrate more when it comes to women's wrestling. We're always constantly asking who's next and, who's WWE going to push, or who's AEW and all these companies, who are they going to push? Who's the next big star? We're always looking for the next big star. And sometimes you don't have to look very far. So Kendall Gray is somebody WWE has been clearly invested in. And now we're literally seeing the recognition outside of WWE as well. It's coming to fruition for her. So, but my question to you, chat, is do you guys see Kendall Gray as one of the future faces of WWE's women's division? And who else from NXT do you think deserves that kind of spotlight? I want to see if the chat can name me a couple of folks that they think would be some amazing covers. I mean, we've definitely had a long history of PWI covers for, cover stars, period. And at this point, for that's a pretty big move, and that's a pretty big achievement for Kendall Gray. So shout outs to her. She's doing her thing and she's very hungry. They call her, the female Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? There's lots of rumblings in the socials where people are calling her that. Like, she's just a workhorse and she is ready to go. So it says a lot about WWE. It says a lot about PWI. It says a lot about where the women's wrestling business is, women's wrestling landscape and division is going for NXT. And there's still a lot going on with that because, you know, we saw what happened on Tuesday with Callie Armstrong and Kaylani. Like, that's all coming together now as well. And you know, Ren Sinclair in the midst of that as well. There's just a lot going on in that women's division, and it's absolutely amazing. So shout outs to Kendall Gray for her cover stardom, as well on PWI Insider magazine as well, registered. Okay, let's see what else we got. Let's see what else we got for today. Yes, this one is definitely let's definitely stray away for a little bit. Still in the realm of WWE, but not so much NXT. Let's see. I mean, there's been a lot of reports surrounding the contract status of Bayley. You know, there's been a lot of speculation in regards to the fact that, you know, not speculation, but there has been, of course, coverage, you know, that her contract was expected to expire by the end of this year. She has not signed a new deal. You know, speculation isn't confirmation. There's still there, you know, I want to just make sure that we make that distinction. That's important. Bayley's WWE contract status has become a major talking point, and particularly reports indicate that she has not signed a new deal with WWE. And obviously, you know, when you hear Bayley and contract status in the same sentence, it's kind of like immediately wrestling fans go to thinking about, you know, either AEW, is she going to stay or is she going to go? You know, and I don't blame them, of course, because we know that she has a very, very close relationship with Mercedes Moné. You know, they've been friends for years, and there's been increased speculation, you know, regarding Bayley after she posted a training video using the song All In. You know, so it could be a reach, but you know, like it's still a lot that you can just speculate on. It's still not confirmation, like I said. Recent reporting also says AEW insiders were confused by some of that speculation and that her actual contract timeline remains uncertain. But my question for y'all is, do we have to automatically assume that Bayley's leaving WWE? Like, do we think that that's most likely the outcome? You know, if you really thinking about Bayley's career, Bayley has been with WWE for 14 years. She's also been one of the most important women in the company's modern history, as we know it. She's been a champion. She's been a heel. She's been a babyface. She's one of the four horsewomen. Helped boost into the women's revolution from, you know, making NXT bigger than what it was. You know, she's been part of historic matches. She's been part of historic moments. So you would think that it's obvious that WWE should want to keep her, right? But what if she does become available? Because then we're having a completely different conversation, right? Because you're talking about a woman who could immediately, easily, without a doubt, who has an early Hall of Fame career, could easily and immediately become one of the most important pieces of another and build another women's division elsewhere. She could easily be a pillar in any women's division. So I want to ask you guys in the chat and those of you listening and watching, if Bayley did become a free agent tomorrow, where do you think she should go? Should she stay in WWE? Should she go to AEW? Should she go somewhere else? Because we obviously know that those are not the be all end alls. There's so much wrestling everywhere you go now. She can easily bring eyes to any division, whether it's independent, mainstream, doesn't matter. Overseas, AAA, anywhere, it doesn't matter. So, but you guys let me know in the chat. We're going to continue the conversation going, and let's go into a little bit of WoW, because I saw that there was shout outs to Diva Dirt. I saw that there was major news with WoW. They announced a major expansion, and I think this is really big picture women's wrestling story worth talking about. They're planning a major expansion. WoW is planning a major expansion for season 5, including its first ever live broadcast from LA Live in downtown Los Angeles, along with a larger on-camera role for the co-owner Jeannie Buss. So women of wrestling, this is definitely a pretty significant development. The company is pretty much showing that they're expanding, not just saying, hey, we're back for another season. We're talking about major steps forward, including first ever, like I said, live broadcast. I think this is important for the women's wrestling, because it's not just about WWE and AEW. Like I said, there's a lot more. There's also more wrestling to be watched everywhere else. And WoW has definitely, we definitely have many relationships with a lot of the superstars from WoW as well. They're good friends of the show. There are multiple companies trying to create opportunities for women. And there are also many companies that have. And WoW has always had, I feel like, a very specific identity. And they're trying to take that identity and expand it. They're coming into their own. And it's also important, I think, for Jeannie Buss having a bigger on-camera role as well, because it's interesting that she's not just somebody who understands wrestling. She's also somebody who comes from the business side of professional sports. So that's a big deal in itself as well to me. And that gives WoW an interesting perspective when it comes to building a brand around women's wrestling, for sure. And so I want to know what you guys think in the chat. Do you guys think WoW has the potential to solidify itself and put that final stamp once and for all to show that they are definitely the hottest major destination for women's wrestling? And what does WoW need to do to take it further to the next step? Is this the beginning? Is this a new beginning for WoW? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hey, Courtney. What's up, Lewis? Pat, you, Eric. Shout outs to you guys. Appreciate it. Excellent. Awesome. But I just thought that was also really cool news. But you guys let me know in the chat what you think of this big move for WoW. And let's continue on down the conversation, because yours truly, honestly, is to get also ready for the watch along later tonight as well. So let's just keep it moving. We're going to stray away from WoW news, and I'm going to say absolutely wow to this piece of drama that happened this past week. And it doesn't surprise me one bit, but Mercedes Moné abruptly attacks Willow Nightingale during her interview with Renee Paquette during an interview segment on AEW's Dynamite this week. Apparently Mercedes Moné woke up Wednesday and chose violence, which I'm kind of here for. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of here for it. But we saw, of course, Mercedes Moné attacked Willow Nightingale in the middle of her interview. And it's interesting because these two women already do have a big history. And we've discussed it here many a time on WWT. This isn't just about two random women being thrown into a feud, which is great. Willow and Mercedes have history literally dating back to some pretty significant moments in both of their AEW stories. And when you have that kind of history with somebody, an attack like this carries more weight. Now, if you don't remember what I'm referring to, of course, I know our timeless elite PR princess Courtney can vouch for this, but Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné wrestled at NJPW Resurgence. I want to take everybody back to a certain date, May 21st, 2023, where Willow Nightingale defeated Mercedes Moné to become the first ever NJPW Strong Women's Champion. And it seems, excuse me, I'm still the sickest ooze today, folks. My bad. But it would seem that Mercedes Moné is trying to stay ahead of the curve and hasn't forgotten that. We also saw that Mercedes Moné had suffered a broken ankle during that match, which kept her out of action for several months. And it was such a high-profile match with such a crazy moment that it altered Mercedes Moné's journey. And it seems like Mercedes Moné in this case is like an elephant. She never forgets. And I'm here for this kind of history. I have been waiting for this matchup to happen again on a one-on-one scale because I always thought that there was more justice that needed to be done to get that match through and through, because of course the way that first one went, it was completely unexpected. But I also think in this case, with the attack and the way they've gone into it, and the way they're starting to tell this story before even getting into the ring, what this tells me is that this fits Mercedes. This does. I'm not going to sit here and lie to myself. Mercedes is somebody who definitely wants to control that narrative, or any narrative. She wants to be the center of the attention. She wants the people talking. And attacking someone in the middle of an interview guarantees exactly that. But Willow Nightingale, at the same time, as we all know, who can smile and wave all she wants. We know when that girl gets in that ring, that's just, of course, after being attacked like that, that's just not something I would expect her to take just like that. Willow has always had that infectious personality, but people sometimes mistake being positive for being weak. And Willow has repeatedly shown that she can turn that switch off when somebody pushes her too far. And that, I feel, is going to fuel the fire into this match. And I cannot wait to see what unfolds between them. I can't wait to see what kind of story they tell when they go into their match coming up down the road, which is happening soon, literally next week. But yeah, you guys let me know in the chat. I want to know for you guys. I have a question. Is this the beginning of another major Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale feud? And if it is, who do you got? You can only pick one. There can only be one winner. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing that match as well down the road when they get to London. But let's continue to move on to let's transition over to the knockouts. I want to talk about the knockouts. Let's move over to TNA because we got the inaugural. I mean, I know there's a lot happening. We had Jeff Hardy and Nick Nemeth and Leon Slater and Ricky Sosa and there was a lot going on. But this is Women's Wrestling Talk, and I do want to highlight something. The Knockouts Television Championship Tournament is getting very interesting. M by Elegance defeated Indy Hartwell in the semifinal, which means M by Elegance is now moving on to the finals. And this tournament started with a 16-woman field. And it's important because this isn't just another championship that's being handed. This is a newly invested and established tournament that has been thought out by TNA, and we've seen women from different backgrounds and different walks of life and different levels of experience come through this tournament. Indy had previously advanced past Thea Hale, while M had advanced through her side in the bracket as well. But excuse me, I think Indy Hartwell has always been somebody I think a lot of people expected to go pretty far in this tournament. Seeing M eliminate her is very significant, I think. And I think this is exactly what that tournament should be, despite despite actually, I picked Indy Hartwell to go pretty far in this. I would have loved to see her go far in this, but I think this is exactly what the tournament should be. It should create somebody. I feel like Indy Hartwell is a made woman. The winner of this tournament also isn't just becoming a champion. This person is coming out of the tournament with an identity, and now you have a leader of your Knockouts women's division with this new inaugural title. I think that M by Elegant. I want to know if you guys think, is M by Elegance the right person to become the inaugural Knockout women's television champion? And if not, M, do you think who do you think it should be? I mean, there's only one match left. We're in the finals now, so a lot can be said for this. A lot can be said for this, but definitely looking forward to seeing the results of that and see what come out of that labor there, because that's going to be a very interesting situation. Can M by Elegance go all the way, or Jada Stone? Like, it's going to be. Thank you, Courtney. Whew. I would be here for that. I would totally be here for that. What's up, Boza? The system costing Jada. I wouldn't want that for her, but that does make sense. But we shall see. We shall see in the coming weeks when they go to Ontario. So she did. I would say she kind of had a pretty, I would say, a very relaxed path for sure. But it was very it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. We are going to pause for 1 second before we get out of here and get into our final message and story of the day before your sweetest Suze gets on her way, so she could get some fuel for our Honey Night SmackDown watch along. It's going to be a doozy, so make sure you guys stick around. We're going to take a quick break, and I want you guys to enjoy this message from the Women's Wrestling Archive. Please support. Any donation is always welcome. You'll be supporting, preserving, and you'll be helping support and preserving the legacy of women's wrestling for generations to come, past, present, future, mainstream, indies, what have you. Please make sure you check out the Women's Wrestling Archive.
Women's wrestling didn't just show up yesterday in glitter boots. We've been here the entire time, body slamming through history.
The Women's Wrestling Archive launches 2026, and it's going to pave the way for all women's wrestling.
Because if we don't document it, a man might think he did it first.
This has been a passion project for a very long time. Head over to the womenswrestlingarchive.com to donate 1, 5, or whatever you can. It all goes a long way.
Let's give these women the spotlight that they've always deserved.
Her story belongs in history. Help us preserve it today. Join us at womenswrestlingarchive.com. Support the archive. Support women's wrestling. Donate today.
Yes, womenswrestlingarchive.com. Please make sure you guys check that out. Now, I want to give a final message, if you will. I wouldn't say that this last bit of the show is going to be a story. I think this is just something that I need to get off my chest, because there's a lot that's always going on. and everybody has a story. And I just want to make sure I show some advocacy and support for this person because this person is a friend of the show and has been for quite some time. A co-host, an on-air host, producer, and content creator, internet personality, our good friend of the show, Denise Salcido. I would like to address something in regards to women's mental health in content creation. And I specifically wanted to save this for last because I wanted to just end with an important message. Those of you who don't know Denise Salcido, she is a regular host on Busted Open Radio for SiriusXM. She's a full-time personality for Wrestling Observer and a good friend of the show. And beyond broadcasting, she does appearances, backstage interviews, and she's freaking amazing at it. She's one of my favorites to watch. And Denise Salcido took to social media and recently spoke publicly about how difficult it can be for women in the wrestling and content creation space, particularly in, of course, a male-dominated environment where there are individuals who can be inappropriate or be unkind and others that can enable that behavior. Before we wrap up tonight, I think this is extremely important, and not just in wrestling, but I think in content creation, and honestly, even beyond that, beyond social media, in real life as a whole. And I don't usually go on tangents like this, but this is something I do feel very strongly about. I feel like this truly deserves a conversation. You know, she recently spoke about mental health and what it's like for women to try to exist and build careers in this space. And being a woman in a male-dominated space already comes with challenges, but being a woman in life in general already comes with a lot of those challenges. But with in regard to what we're talking about here, with social media and content creating, not only do women have to deal with the challenge of the male-dominated space, but the challenge of that, but you're also trying to build a brand. You're trying to be taken seriously. You're trying to create content. You're networking. You're trying to grow an audience. And sometimes while you're doing all of that, there's also those moments and those times where we as women have to deal with people who don't respect boundaries. And I think one of the most dangerous things that we can do is normalize that behavior and say, well, that's just the internet. No, absolutely not. That's not just the internet. There are a lot of those pages, bots and things like that, but there are a lot of those just as much as there are people behind these accounts. There are real women behind these cameras. I'm one of them. I have colleagues. This is women's wrestling talk. And there are real mental health consequences when somebody repeatedly has to deal with either harassment or disrespect or intimidation or unwanted attention. I just hit my mic. I'm sorry, y'all. Or people trying to tear them down for absolutely no reason at all, without even having met them. And here's what I want the people to understand and I want to talk about this as to why I'm bringing this up. You can disagree with somebody without dehumanizing them. You can criticize someone's wrestling opinion. You can dislike their content. You can disagree with whatever opinions they may have or what their take is or whatever story is written. You can even stop watching them. But one thing you do not have to do is you do not have to make somebody feel unsafe to make your point. It's bad enough as women being as multifaceted and creative and nurturing and all the things and all the emotions we go through in a day. You know, as much as that, there is just 10 times as much that goes on that women still have to deal with on social media alone. And social media is its own world as well, as you can see. But I wanted to say all of that to say this. To women who are creating, whether you're somebody with millions of followers or whether you're somebody who's just starting out with 50 people watching your videos, I want you to know, you're hearing this from your sweetest Zeus. No matter what age, no matter what color, no matter where you're from, no matter what, I'm saying, as your sweetest Zeus, you belong here. I welcome you. You're seen, you are heard. And shout outs to you, Denise. I'm going to say this to you, Denise. You keep doing your damn thing, girl. Don't let nothing get you down. And I saw your post, and she's willing and very willing and mentally strong and mentally sound. It takes a very gutsy and strong kind of individual to do that. And women have to do that times 10 in the real world and in social media world. But you belong here. You don't have to, and I'm talking to all my other friends who are content creators, all my colleagues, all my people that I've been on their shows, and my girls, my friends, my women everywhere. You don't have to become harder or colder or less feminine just because somebody else doesn't know how to behave. We've talked about this on numerous occasions, where there's different instances, even with women in wrestling, even the men in wrestling. I'm not saying it's just women, but it just so happens to be this is the situation that we're talking about. But even male wrestlers, women wrestlers going through all kinds of crazy shit we couldn't even imagine. Women go through things that you couldn't imagine. You don't have to sacrifice your mental health just to prove that you're strong enough to stay in the room. You just need to go into that room already knowing that you are strong enough to stay in that room. Only you can do that. And that's what protects your peace. That's how you set boundaries. Block people. Walk away when you need to. Surround yourself with people and do nothing but surround yourself with people, like-minded people who genuinely want to see you succeed. Because the goal shouldn't even be for women to thrive to survive in this space. The goal should be for women to thrive in it just as well as everybody else does. Everybody deserves to thrive as long as and when they work for it, and they love it, and it's their passion. You can clearly see it, the passion, when Denise is on screen, when she does her interviews. She's fantastic. Why anybody would want to be any kind of harm to this girl, whether virtually or in real life, is beyond me. Beyond me. I've met so many new friends. I've made so many new friends on this social media space, on this internet, that I can't fully just say that the internet's a bad place, because there are good people in this world that will genuinely support you. I haven't even met the full colleague list of women's wrestling talk, but you know what? I know damn well that I will ride for WWT till the wheels fall off. And I feel like they would for me too. And if we're serious about helping our women, our friends, our sisters, our aunts, our mothers, our daughters, you know, if we're serious about growing women's wrestling, women in anything, women in content creating or any kind of creative space or any space at all, then that responsibility belongs to everyone. Mental health is a real thing, man. Be kind to people because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what anybody's going through. I'll even leave y'all with this. I'll use this as an example. Today, I found out that I lost a very close, near and dear family member of mine. And you know, it's fresh, it's still happening, and I choose to still get up and I went on a job interview today. I went outside, I listened to some music that I know that family member would love, and I still wanted to keep my nerve enough to make sure that I showed up for y'all today because I want to persevere and I want to set an example to not to prove anything, but I know that I'm mentally strong in a way that as long as I put my mind into something creative, it's worth gold to me no matter what, no matter where it goes. So I use pain, love, passion, all of it to fuel my creativity. You wouldn't know if I was going through something unless I told you. People only let you see what they want you to see. I didn't have to be vulnerable right now, but I felt like it was important to, for me, and also for somebody who could be watching and listening and could be going through the same thing that Denise is going through, the same thing that any other woman would be going through in any space. And showing up is half the battle. Showing up is half the battle. The rest is everything is all mental. And I wanted to show up for y'all. And there will be a watch along tonight because I have fun doing it. And I know that my family member wouldn't want me to just give up even for a second something that makes me happy. So be kind to people on the internet, y'all. Be kind. Think about what you're doing before you type it and send it. Think before you click any buttons. Okay? The world is nuts right now. Everybody's going through it. Everybody has a story. So, shout outs to all my ladies in the content creating space, even all my fellas too. Everybody goes through it. Everybody's dealing with mental health. It's not just the women, it's men too. I just wanted to advocate for Denise and let her know that I get it. We all get it. Somebody out there gets it. And we all got to stick together because there are some really good people in this community. Really good people in this community. All we got to do is be kind. And it's free to do that. It costs nothing. So I just wanted to leave y'all with that message. But we are going to wrap it up for the night, y'all. Thank you guys for letting me go on that tangent. I'm sorry I did, but I'm kind of not sorry I did because I love this platform. I love what I do here. And I'm going to keep on trucking, you know? But I thank you guys for hanging with me. But if guys, I really don't have to tell you where to find me because you guys could find me at 8 o'clock for our Honey Night SmackDown watch along. So make sure you guys grab your snacks. I'm going to go make myself some wings and get my beverages and get myself together, get my mind right for SmackDown. Can't wait for you guys to join me. So please make sure you guys stick around and make sure you guys hit that notification button just in case if you need a little reminder. But thank you for all your comments, your opinions, your debates, and most importantly, thank you for your continuing support of Women's Wrestling Talk, period. Thank you for your support of me. It means more than you can ever imagine. I hope that everybody has a wonderful weekend. Yeah, so what are we gonna see tonight for SmackDown? Can't wait to find out. It's gonna be a lot of championship gold on the line. And please don't forget to be kind and kiss your loved ones. Okay, just saying from your sweetest deuce. But I appreciate y'all, and I will see you guys at 8:00. And thank you so much for tuning in for my short and sweet edition, pretty much 1 hour edition of Honey Night SmackDown. Or excuse me, not Honey Night SmackDown. Look at me, Women WWT Live, Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. I'll see you guys in an hour. I need food, but love y'all. Take care. See you at 8. Bye, guys.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at www.talkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.